Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. To all our listeners, both locally and abroad, a hearty, warm welcome to the Build Your Business Show. I'm your host, Laverne Van Wyk. This show promises to be informative, educational, and empowering. It is exactly 1 p.m. on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. With me in studio today, we've got Andre Swartbooi. He's the commercial director from Acoustex. And before I read his bio, hi Andre, how are you?
Hi Laverne, really good in yourself?
I'm good, thanks. Before I get to his amazing bio, let's just touch the topic of today, the automotive industry. The automotive industry is currently a significant contributor to the South African GDP, 6.8% according to the Business Tech magazine, published March 2021. With 110,000 people employed across the vehicle and component manufacturers, it is also an estimated indirect impact on about 1.5 million people. The Eastern Cape automotive manufacturing industry has a long history and is a major employer and driver of economic development in the region. Approximately 150 of the major automotive component manufacturers are located in the Eastern Cape, all of which is driven by the OEMs, specifically Volkswagen, Isuzu, Ford, and Mercedes-Benz, all within the Eastern Cape. Now with me today again is Andre Swartbooi. He started his career in the automotive industry in 2006 at Acoustex as a graduate. He subsequently left and worked for Volkswagen both locally and abroad in the purchasing department. His focus was on the localization of product and the implementation of localization objectives between VW South Africa and Germany purchasing. Andre also worked at Federal Mogul, now Tenneco, looking after OEM and aftermarket sales, projects, and business development. During the time away from Acoustex, Andre completed various management degrees, which included management development programs and his master's in business administration. In 2017, he returned to Acoustex to head up business development and projects. The project management requirements have grown due to the substantial growth of the company. In this area, he manages a team of 7 project engineers who are responsible for the launch and implementation of new parts in the process. Then, in 2020, he was made director in the Acoustex Group, with his focus being on new technologies, acquisitions, and new business partners. And so, in its 26th year, the Exporter of the Year Award is hosted annually to acknowledge the achievement of Eastern Cape exporters and service providers in the province. Yes, in 2020, Acoustex is proud to have been announced as the winner of the Exporter of the Year 2021. Now, that was a mouthful, so let's hear from the man himself. Tell us about yourself, and if you have any shout-outs to your clients, suppliers, or family, this is your time.
Yeah, thanks Laverne. Thanks for the introduction. I must say I'm quite humbled by the request to come and sit with you here today to have this discussion. So yeah, as you've introduced, I'm Andre Swartbooi, born in Uitenhage. I just want to start the story by saying we moved to PE subsequently from Uitenhage. But I still went to school there.
Okay.
And we used to drive past Volkswagen. And I remember in Standard 1, I said to myself, one day I'm going to work here because I love cars.
Wow.
I mean, it's everything. My favorite, you can ask my wife, my favorite thing to do is to watch car shows, check on the car apps, what's available and all of that. So automotive has definitely been in my blood. I just want to give a shout out to my wife and my family. Without their support, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm always very thankful to them. And also my parents, both in-laws and my parents, where they are today. I'm also very thankful for them, their support. I mean, at the end of the day, we are the products of our parents.
Yes.
And their sacrifices and what they've done for us. So yeah, in a nutshell, I can introduce Andre. I got a newborn that's here now, so we've had some sleepless nights. Working at Acoustex, very humbled to work there because someone picked me up and was a champion to me. Yes. And I am what I am today because of that person.
Wow.
I started working there a few years ago, 2006. I graduated from the Technicon. I couldn't get a job anywhere. I used to work as a packer at game stores. I'll never forget it, for 700 Rand a month. And then I went knocking on Acoustex doors. I said, I'll do anything. I want to get into the automotive field. And I worked there for 500 Rand a month. And a year later, they gave me a permanent contract.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's been quite a journey, been quite a learning. Acoustex has done a lot for me. And yeah, I'm here today and still learning every day.
Awesome. Humble beginnings indeed. Yes. Andre, tell us about Acoustex. What do they do?
So Acoustex, we refer to it as Acoustex Group, Laverne. And the reason for that is because it consists of 4 companies.
Okay.
We've got a company called Acoustex Insulation, which does sound deadening products, so you never see it in your vehicle. But it's the reason why your vehicle is quiet on the inside. Because these parts we make, it goes on the body panels of the vehicle, it's baked on, and it solidifies the metal paneling in a certain way. We actually do the formulation for this ourselves. So the customers, they will give us a spec to say they want the noise level of the vehicle to be in this specific tolerance, and we will develop a product that conforms to that for them. So we've got an R&D department that does that, all in South Africa, in Port Elizabeth, which is really great. Then we've got another company called Acoustex Trim, and they focus on all the parts that you can touch and feel.
Yes.
Like the floor carpet, the parcel shelf, the headrests, and all of that. We've got a company called Vehicle Protection Solutions, which does car seat covers. So you'll see the white trim product that's when you take your car for a service, it focuses on that. Also, the products that you export your vehicle in, the big white cover, they build that as well. And then the final company we have is a company called Blue Tech Lamination. So this is a company that deals specifically in exports and medical laminations for hospitals, and they focus on laminating products for hospital drapes and gowns, etc. So all in all, yeah, we're quite diverse, all under one roof. And the proud thing for us in the automotive sector is that we supply all OEMs in South Africa, and we're also a level 1 black supplier. So it's a big thing for us. It's a very rare occurrence in the automotive industry, and we also come from humble beginnings. As a company, we locally bred. We were bought over in 2006, and we've grown now, and we're very humbled to find ourselves in the position that we are in at the moment.
Great stuff. Right here on our doorstep in Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
Exporter of the year 2021.
Yeah.
What is the criteria to win this award?
Okay, so let me explain this to you. There are 3 categories that you apply for the award for. There's a corporate category, which is your big, over 200 million export in rand per annum. Then there's your medium category, which is 25 to 200.
Yes.
And then there's your small, which is 25 and below.
Okay.
We entered the medium because that's our range as a group. And those are the categories that we entered. But what the Exporters Committee looks at, they look at your business as a whole, not just do you export and all of that. To me, exporting is just an entry into that competition. They check, what do you do differently as a company? What did you do during COVID, which was a big thing for them? What's your entrepreneurial flair as a company? How sustainable are you as a company? And also, what do you do in the environment? Wow. And all of those things, they actually come to your plant and they do an audit specifically on the environmental issues to check, are you actually living it out? It's not just something you're putting on a piece of paper. So they focus on all those criteria items, and out of that, they make a decision for you.
Wow, that's very broad, and that's a full company audit, correct, from business to process to environment as well. Did Acoustex set out this to win this award? So
we had a strategy a few years ago, and we didn't expect to win this award, to be quite honest with you. We entered because we thought we had a chance, but we didn't expect to win anything. For me, we would have been overjoyed if we won the medium category. Enterprise, and even that was a shock for us when we won it. But then to hear in the end that we won the overall Exporter of the Year award was mind-blowing for us. We didn't expect it. It really was an end result of the strategies that we put in place as a company to stabilize ourselves.
Awesome.
And it was really a reward for that.
Definitely, and just to add to that, I said you've mentioned a few things, but what does this mean for your business moving forward? I mean, you've set the bar, you've set the expectation, and this is where you are, and of course we must grow. So what does this mean for your business in terms of its strategy?
So let me just say, winning the Exporters Award really gave Acoustex a lot of credibility. Because I want to say in inverted commas, we're now on the map.
Yep.
And, with the spotlight also comes, you can also pick up certain weaknesses and all of that. So for me, we really set a benchmark and a foundation for ourselves to grow as a company. And it really set our sights higher than just PE. Because there was a tendency before, when we went through a difficult time as a company, we're a supplier that sits in PE, we consist of X amount of employees, and this is the environment that we work in. So our group of directors and our MD, we got together and we said, how are we going to change our thinking? And that's what we thought, broader than just Port Elizabeth and outside the boundaries, and how do we export? And this is the thinking that's really changed for us. And it's really, the Export of the Year award has really accentuated that for us. That we think about it every day now. How do we do things differently? But also, how do we grow our market share that we currently have?
Wow, I'm excited to see this development. And in South Africa, has also made great strides in the automotive industry's collaboration with government, the progressive automotive policies that we've seen. So, in your opinion, which key partnerships and business affiliations add the most value to Acoustex?
Okay, so we, as Acoustex, we try and partner with all the forums that there is available. Like we have NARCAM, we have Exporters Eastern Cape, we involved with that as well. And we get benefit from all those forums. Each one of those forums offer a different and unique package to our company as a whole. But I think what's important is in those forums is you hearing what the next person has to say, what they are going through, and their weaknesses or failings maybe, what they did well and not so good, and what we can actually take out from them and apply in our business. So we're quite actively involved in those forums, Laverne. But the big thing is it's point also the business chamber. It's point to just sitting there.
Yes.
You've actually got to sit and action it, and that's when newcomers on the block. That's what we did. We sat there and we weren't active participants, but now we really see the benefits of using them, pulling them into our business, saying this is what we're doing. For instance, like Exporters Eastern Cape, we said come to our business. We want to do a virtual tour. They did that. They showed it to their members. And the amount of input that we got was amazing. And we took some of that and we applied it in the areas where it was applicable.
Awesome. Partnerships is definitely key growing this industry, I believe, in the next 5 to 10 years. And with having said that, success during the pandemic. So the pandemic has hit us all, okay? And I think as the automotive industry, we're still feeling the effects of that. How were you able to retain your staff during this time?
Yeah, so Laverne, what we did is when we heard about COVID and the lockdown, our MD, George Limo, called us together immediately. And his first question was, guys, what is our plan and our strategy in place to deal with this? And I want to say to you, we are a local company without a big sister or big brother in Europe that can bail us out if things go wrong.
Tell me about it.
We rely on our own pockets.
Yep.
If there's an issue, we have to put our own money in, all of that. Okay. And his question was, what is the suggestions for us to do and to get out of this? And what is our strategy? And we sat down as a management team and a board of directors, and we said, this is what we've put in place. And his first comment was, we're not going to let anyone go. And for me, that was such a significant, I actually get goosebumps when I say it now, because his point was, how can we let people go? We are earning a salary still, but people that sat around us next to the table are going hungry during this time. And for me, it was such a change in mindset. So our whole focus was on that and putting in principles and mechanisms in place, negotiating better terms with customers, suppliers, extending contracts, also a big focus on our purchasing team was to look for better raw material prices, because I mean that makes a big impact on our income statement, and that's what the focus was, and it really carried us through. And I must say, the one thing that we focused a lot on was the people and their well-being, but it was also the constant communication with them at all times to say, guys, this is what we're going through, this is what we're doing. Without you, we can't reach that end goal. And that's really what got us through.
Interesting. I love that. Just last week we spoke about people that add value to your business, and of course people that will continue to add value to your business if you're adding value to their lives.
Correct.
And I think that was key. So that was a brilliant strategy there. And then opportunities during the pandemic. Digital transformation is on everybody's mind. It's on everybody's radar. There's no way of getting past that. What was the opportunities for Acoustex with regards to that? Were you ready? Were you in your digital transformation phase? Was this even part of your strategy?
Okay, so, COVID was a bad situation for a lot of people, but out of COVID also came a lot of good for everyone. Because what it told us was, you need to change the way that you're doing things.
Yes.
Because if you stay the same, in 5 years' time, you're not going to be around anymore. So, in Acoustex, we used to do a lot of things manually. And Excel was the buzzword, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
So, we made use of Haldan.
Yes.
We made use of Haldan. And one of our customers also, there's big pressures from our customers to automate everything. Because if they have an order now, they want to know that it feeds into your system, and your production team knows with it in the next few hours that this is what they must produce.
Yes.
And we used to get data from our customers, check it, analyze it, input it into a spreadsheet, it goes into another one, and the production team makes it. So what Haldan did is, we came to our plant, you opened our mindset about how this is actually going to work and what you can do. And what I liked was the statement that just because you're automating doesn't mean that you must lay people off.
Yes.
It's to make your system efficient rather than punishing someone else for automation in your plant. And our strategy was at the beginning of the year to change and to do things differently. So now with the system that we got in place, specifically Auto EDI, the inputs come from our customer. It feeds into our SysPro system. It feeds directly into our production floor. And when that product comes into our finished goods area, for instance, we put a label on it, we scan the label, and the customer is notified immediately of the stock that's coming into the plant. It minimizes the effort completely that's required. And the good thing is also, it also now gives our staff time and the focus to focus on the future rather than focusing on right now. And that for us has been the key about automation.
I'm glad that you touched that, because for us it's quite important that in the past we spent a whole day entering data, never mind the fact that order is emailed and then we've got to print it out,
Correct.
to type it in, to send on an Excel sheet
That was
again.
us.
And I think the irony of the matter is you need this person to be able to analyze this information instead of pushing the keys, right? Because we also
Correct.
get mistakes.
Correct.
And a mistake with a zero can cost us quite a lot of money.
Exactly.
So in terms of your systems, is this part of your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, so definitely we had a strategy session last, and one of the pillars was automation. Okay, so it definitely is a strategy going forward that managers and supervisors and whoever can have real-time data at all the time. And we did a simple thing with the screen on one of our machines that was installed, that tells the person that's inputting raw material into the machine what the target is at that given point of the hour and what the actual quantity is. And they will know at that time, are they behind, are they ahead, what needs to be done to catch up in the next hours. And as simple as what that sounds, it's made a world of difference to how we do things and how we see things and how we analyze things. The next point I want to make is, and this is where Haldan also helped us with the OEE, our overall efficiency, equipment efficiency in our facility. That at any time, and this is any person, doesn't matter, and I use the word what level you are in the company, if you walk past a specific type of equipment, you can understand how fast or what the quality is of that machine, what the efficiency is of that machine, and where that machine is right now in its production process. And it's actually enlightened people in a way that real-time data allows you to make real-time decisions. And that's really what our strategy is focused on.
I think transparency is key. And I think in most simplest terms, if you were to get into your car and cover your dashboard with a black bag, and
Correct.
I told you, Andre, get in your car and drive to Joburg, I think we'd have trouble.
Correct.
Not knowing how much petrol you have, if your water and oil is fine. Let's not even talk about the traffic fines.
Yes.
So I think transparency and real-time data is key to drive decision making, but also to eliminate the waste of time in the, let's call it the handling of the information to get to the decision maker.
Yes.
So that's awesome that's part of your strategy. And I think that can only add more value to your business, improving your processes day by day.
Correct. Laverne, can I just also add on that point? We mustn't forget the people working in your company have a life outside of the company. So, for instance, there are times when people have a bad day. Things are not going good at home. We all know someone that lost a job. So your focus isn't always there if you don't automate. And like you said earlier, that extra note can be catastrophic to anyone. And that's where the system also helps. It's really a safeguard to protect your business in the long end. And that for us, we've also figured that out now with automation.
Awesome. I think a lot of people, when they hear automation, has a negative feel because automatically they think automation, I'm going to lose my job. But it's actually automation to ease my job so that I could analyze the information or focus on the value add for the customer. And I think that's part of the mindset that we need to drive with people, that digital transformation is here, automation is here to stay. We see it in our daily lives. I mean, I don't go to the shops to shop anymore.
Correct.
I sit on my phone at home and that's the new
norm.
The new norm. So I think, just like you said, people go through things mentally every single day. We don't know it. They don't wear it on their sleeves. And for that one moment, having these systems in place could have just saved your business.
Correct.
Getting back to where we find ourselves in the automotive industry. When it's up, it's up.
Yeah.
When it's down, it's down.
Yeah.
Right? So currently we have seen the negative effect of the semiconductor shortage in our industry, leading to short time and retrenchments, which in effect is not good for growth or investments. What strategies did Acoustex put in place to overcome this?
Yeah, okay. So I want to answer the question twofold. We were fortunate during COVID that there was a lot of changes in our customer base in terms of their focus was now to localize. Because obviously now with exchange rates shooting up and all of that, it assisted localization in South Africa. And one of our focuses there was now to go to the customer and say, what can we do differently? It doesn't have to fit in our product profile, but we want to do it in order to safeguard ourselves. Okay? And that really paid off for us, because now we've built up a cushion in our customer base where we spread the pain around this sales wheel rather than being concentrated on one specific customer. And that's helped us tremendously. So we've got launches happening now in March and the year after that, which really transforms our business completely. And what we found that because our customer base is so diverse now, and because of what we're experiencing now with the semiconductor shortages, customers taking a lot of time out, we find that even though customer X is on short time, we find that customer Y is now having a boom and they're going with, and it just balances us out really nicely. And that's the strategy that we followed here, was to have a balanced approach in terms of our customer base and not to have one where if they sneeze, we catch the flu. And that helped us tremendously. So that was one strategy. The other strategy was simply, again, like, to minimize costs. To understand where we can get better raw material prices, where we can shorten shipping costs, which we know has gone through the roof. And the biggest thing is where to localize. Because that's what we found is our import costs were it was killing everyone. It was very difficult for us, and localizing product really just gave us that focus and ability to focus on what's at hand rather than worrying about skyrocketing costs in the business.
I think localization obviously adds to the current unemployment rate for us. So as an industry, I think localization is also on the tongue of the industry at the moment, given our current unemployment rate, but also just to minimize cost. And I think just to go back to that, eliminating waste starts with being able to identify those wastes. And I think that's key. I think a lot of people don't sit back and go, let me first identify the different types of waste that I have. Is the warehouse that I have down the street worth the money that I'm spending on it?
Correct.
Or is the process that I currently have running in my factory, is it running effectively?
Correct.
And I think that should be the focus of the industry as well. We're going through this pain, but this is the time to look into our homes, our jobs, the factories, and go, are we doing things the best way that we can?
Yeah. And Laverne, on that point, the thing is, it's so important to focus on waste, even in good times. Because there's always this tendency to start focusing on waste when things are going wrong.
Yes.
Instead of when things are going right, and to maximize it at that point, to cushion you when the bad times do come.
Yeah, so that you've got that cushion to fall back
Exactly.
on. And let's talk about your current role.
Yeah.
Your current role focusing on new technologies, acquisitions, and partnerships does require investment talks, right? How important is branding your company and image, and what impact does this have in your discussions?
So Acoustex is a brand. I want to be open about this. We went through a very difficult time in 2014-15. Okay? It damaged our brand in a sense, in the market.
Yeah.
And it's taken a while to build up to where we are now. I want to say it's taken almost 5 years to get to where we are now. But I also want to say it can take a few months or a week to destroy everything.
Yes.
And branding is so important. Eventually, we want to reach a stage where we just have the insignia rather than the name Acoustex. So everyone knows who you are. And I still do the test in the market. When people ask, where do you work? I said, I work for Acoustex. Do they recognize it? And is it out there and all of that? But brand is not just about the logo on your company letterhead or on your company website. Brand is how I talk to you.
Yes.
Brand is the values we have in our company. How I treat the cleaner versus how I treat the MD. How we make decisions. How we report back to our customers when things go wrong. And how we treat our supplier base. Because, there's a tendency in the automotive industry to be a bit of a bully.
Yes.
When it comes to that. And how do you treat everyone during that period? And I think branding is so important because of how people perceive you. And I say you because ultimately we're the company. And it's so important that respect is top of mind. That it's not just that, you're following this CI. I mean, those are all just cosmetic issues. At the end of the day, for us, branding is so important for us, or how we treat suppliers in the market. Because at the end of the day, it's these institutions that hear about you as an individual in a leadership role in the company, how they're going to react to you, how they're going to support you, and how quickly they get things done. So for us, it's quite key to be that brand to our stakeholders, to engage them at all times, and also not to just call on people when you're in need again.
Yes.
Keep them informed how your company is doing, when things are going well, and also be man enough or woman enough when things do go wrong to stick your hand up, so that you can also live that value system that you have in your company.
I think that's quite key, and if anything, through the pandemic, I think most businesses had to adopt that to get through, let's call it the last 2 years. If you weren't transparent or if you weren't part of the team going through this. So it's not just your business, as you said, you're the individual, you are the business. And for us to get through this, to still have our doors open today, even at Haldan, we needed to adopt, what are we doing? This is where we are. How do we move forward? And I think that the payback for that is definitely in the respect that you get within the team, the cooperation, but also just the happy moments and the happy people at work. And happy to, when there's something that needs to get done out of the boundaries of work time, that it's done, but that it's also respected and it's acknowledged.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely made a lot of businesses rethink their strategy around I am the business, you are the staff,
Yes.
because without these people in some industry, you won't see tomorrow.
Correct.
Right? You touched a very important point, values, business values. What are the values of Acoustex, and how do you live these values?
So next year we are introducing a strategy called the Acoustex Way. Okay, and it really is, and we've defined it now. We still need to present it to our MD for final stamp off, and we want to do that at our next strategic session, which is happening now in December, and then roll it out in the new financial year. And the Acoustex Way, Laverne, is simply, how do I treat the next person? It's just that, how do I treat the next person, and how do I get the best out of this person to achieve my objective? How do they get the best out of me for them to achieve their objective? Because if we do all of this, at the end of the day, the company wins. So we follow a very simple methodology in terms of values. We have integrity. Okay, we're honest, we have mutual respect, and we just focus on the person. So I mentioned earlier that we're a PE-based company.
Yes.
So our MD, George, he's a Greek by nature, and they're very entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
but they're also very family-orientated. So we're very corporatized in a way, but we don't like to lose that element of family.
Yes.
And that's why the person for us is so important. There was a statement made the other day, one of the directors said that they are so appreciative of the person that we have this one part, the bum stops on a parcel shelf, because it's that person that allows him to feed his kid at home.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. Values are just centered around people, and to ensure that we have a happy environment, even in difficult times. And just be respectful.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that ties in perfectly to part of Haldan's values as well. And I think with integrity and respect comes ethics as well.
Correct.
And I've mentioned it before, just that happy feeling, the happy environment, and the acknowledgement thereof, and being appreciative of that is key to the team spirit, to teamwork, and the acknowledgement of, without this team, my business won't grow. And I think that's key. Andre, thank you for your time, and I'd like to just maybe ask you, for the automotive industry guys listening, what advice do you have to them? You've shared quite a lot of Acoustex and their strategy, and I think Acoustex is in a fortunate position, and not everybody is in that position at the moment. That we've definitely heard of some doors closing. We've definitely heard and seen the retrenchments going around. What advice would you give to those people listening at this moment in time?
So I was involved in a discussion with NARCAM about their high gear program not so long ago, and I think my comment specifically touches on the youth. Those coming out of university now, that they've studied, they want to get into the automotive industry. But I've always said there's this gap. We live in the Eastern Cape,
Yes.
but we don't have a program that focuses specifically on the automotive industry. Because, I mean, Laverne, like you would know, it's a very skilled and specialized industry. We've got our own jargon.
Yes.
We've got our own way of doing things. And they always say, once you're in the auto industry, you never leave.
Definitely.
Okay, because it's in your blood. And my comments to the youth is that, yes, it is tough in the automotive industry, but if you want to get in, don't expect a massive salary up front. Come in low. It will happen. Gain your experience, but don't give up. I also want to say that in the automotive industry, to those listening, is that you learn so much in terms of life skills. How to budget in the automotive industry, how to see that you're efficient at home, and I just want to say to everyone, don't give up on your dream. It is tough, but the good thing about the auto industry is you always find a solution. And what we learn in the industry is what was good for this model now is not good for the next model. And you continuously need to evolve as a person, as a company, and really with how you interact with your team members, because the younger generation that's 7 years behind you are going to put pressure on you now. So you can't stop evolving. And that's my message really to everyone, is that I think we should just stick together. In the Eastern Cape, we're really a close-knit, I want to say, economy. And that, we shouldn't work against each other.
Yeah.
We should rather help each other, because, at the end of the day, any one of these OEMs can decide, we don't want to be here anymore, we can leave. And I think the supplier base doesn't recognize the power that it has to actually keep them here. And we should support each other more rather than being competitive against each other in a negative sense.
And that being key, with the Eastern Cape being the automotive hub.
Yes.
I think that the gap, I agree with you 100%. We've got this big gap, and not to get these young ones despondent. We are putting strategies in place through different forums, as you mentioned in our Camps High Gear. For those who are interested in more details, please feel free to contact me via our different platforms. And I think this is key for the youth of today, to recognize that these different industries are also changing, because I think the gap between the universities and what we're doing in the industry is just growing. And I think COVID has just allowed it to grow by 2 decades. So it is quite important for the youth to stay close to the industry. So I'm definitely happy about these different programs that we're hearing of at the moment. And I think it's quite important for the youth to stay close to the news.
Correct.
Close to where it's happening, close to get a feel of their future.
Yeah.
And also just the skill set required.
Yes.
I think what COVID has done is change the skill set requirements within the industry as well, which is definitely a game changer from the last 10 years to the next 10 years.
Yes.
And I think that's key. Thank you, Andre, for your time. Much appreciated. If anybody would like to chat to Andre, please make contact with us. You did hear that he's got a newborn, that means sleepless nights, but I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions or assist with any strategies if you had any questions or would need assistance with looking at strategies for your business. We will be back next week, same time, same place, on Agape FM, bringing the gospel nearer to you.